The Philippines has 7,000 islands and over 90 million people. To help the economy meet the demands of its large population, the Philippine government has prioritized its infrastructure development. Today, this includes a sea and land network linking its southern islands with Luzon, its biggest island in the north. The most important segment in this route is the South Luzon Expressway, or SLEX. Except for this missing portion, SLEX connects the main port of South Luzon to the country's capital, Metro Manila. 60% of all products for domestic consumption and foreign destinations travel up and down this route. But until its recent rehabilitation, SLEX was a badly deteriorated road built in 1976. Within 29 kilometers, it has 14 twin bridges, 2 viaducts, and 22 interchanges. It carries up to 250,000 vehicles per day, the heaviest vehicle count in the Philippines. But it had only 4 lanes. So it was frequently congested and prone to traffic violations. And the carriageway was completely unlighted. This was the main bridgeway called Alabang Viaduct. It sagged in many sections and could no longer carry heavy trucks. Its substructure had weakened and was in danger of collapsing with a high-intensity earthquake. Making matters worse, this viaduct sits just a few hundred meters from an active fault line. 6 kilometers south was this low-lying area which was flooded during heavy rains and stopped traffic for hours. Since the Philippines averages 27 typhoons per year, this happens quite often. Meanwhile, at the main toll barrier, long queues form before the toll gates at almost all hours, delaying the movement of goods, services, and people. At the end of SLEX, vehicles turned into this narrow national road and met even worse congestion before they can enter the next tollway system, called the Southern Tagalog Arterial Road, or STAR. The government needed to provide this missing link and improve the deteriorated expressway, but negotiations with several investors had failed. Finally, in February 2006, the Philippine government awarded the contract for the SLEX rehabilitation and upgrading to South Luzon Tollway Corporation, a joint venture of MTD Capital Berhad and the Philippine National Construction Corporation, then the operator of SLEX.
South Luzon Expressway. The chief executive inspected the site of the project along Buña Road near the foot of the Alabang Viaduct in Muntinlupa City this morning.
The agreement was to reconstruct, widen, and extend the expressway and modernize all of its tollway facilities. Project budget was pegged at 8.5 billion pesos, and SLTC was granted a concession period of 30 years. This was to be one of the most challenging road reconstruction projects in the country. Work was to begin immediately. MTD began the rehabilitation of the 1.2-kilometer Alabang Viaduct by building a temporary tollway to reduce the very heavy traffic on the bridge by up to 16,000 vehicles per day. Only then could the seismic retrofitting of the substructure begin. These 30-year-old columns were retrofitted from its foundations to the piers that hold up the bridge. Those bearing the most weight have been wrapped in a steel casing. The entire substructure has been completely retrofitted and its stability certified according to international standards.
The Alabang Viaduct is a crucial link to Metro Manila. The bridge was constructed in 1976. However, 2 years after opening, Heavy loaded trucks were no longer allowed to pass through the bridge because of structural defects. Rehabilitating the 1.2-kilometer bridge was not easy. 300,000 pedestrians, 200,000 cars are passing every day. We could not close the area during construction. The rehabilitation involved removing old girder and replacing with 350 new concrete girders, each weighing 80 tons. I say it's an engineering miracle because no one got hurt during the construction period. It was completed on time. In December of 2008, the President of the Philippines, Her Excellency Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, inaugurated the opening of the bridge.
Some 50 meters beyond the viaduct was the most congested stretch of any highway in the Philippines. Traffic from 4 different directions converged here, and it was always jammed, so the road reconstruction was very difficult.
We dug out the old road and totally replaced it. We added 4 more lanes. The old road had no drainage system, making construction more difficult during the rainy season. It was kinda challenging. As the French consultant had told me, this is the most challenging project I was ever assigned to. Imagine, he said, constructing the road while thousands of vehicles are using it as a racetrack while constructing on the sides. And I fully agree with him.
Today, while the vehicle count has greatly increased, traffic stays moderate on these 8 lanes, which for the first time will now be illuminated. Meanwhile, here in this former flood-prone area, the carriageway was raised 1.3 meters, and a 3-barrel box culvert was installed under it. On both sides, soakaway ponds catch the water runoff. This new system effectively controlled the worst floods that hit Luzon in 2009. Another markedly new system being introduced by MTD is a modern toll plaza complex to replace the old ones such as this.
When completed, the new facility will feature the smart card transit ticketing system, which utilizes a more durable transit ticket, and the motorized smart card machine, which enables faster processing transactions. Especially for the ETC lane, the automatic lane barrier implemented has the fastest opening and closing times of 0.6 of a second, which enables a maximum vehicle transaction speed of 30 kilometers per hour. And the stop-and-go experience of ETC would be a thing of the past once the new system is implemented.
Halfway down SLEX, the traffic count drops down to almost half, and the carriageway narrows down to 6 lanes instead of 8. On either side, colleges, universities, commercial centers, and residential communities are springing up along the expressway. SLEX concessionaire SLTC expects that within 3 years, increased vehicle volume will demand another expansion of this 6-lane carriageway. In preparation, MTD is expanding the mainline barrier in Calamba town, from the current 8 manual toll gates and 2 e-pass gates to a staggered 15-lane twin barrier designed for faster entry and exit. Both are now almost complete. 3 kilometers away at the end of SLEX is the San Juan Viaduct, which had to be widened to 6 lanes. San Juan presented a special challenge because it was built over a riverbed so deep no crane could reach the bridge. So, a launcher was custom built to install the bridge girders.
If you can see behind me, you will see that 2 spans of this bridge are resting on water. And with that, of course, it will be impossible to feed the girders, picking up from the trailer, from the dolly, and putting it up because the crane will not have any space to stand on. The contractor would have a girder launcher capable of spanning more than 40 meters and the capacity to carry girders about 80 tons in weight. Actually, the capacity of the launcher that we have used here is 120 tons. The girders is lifted between the two steel beams that they constitute the launcher with two winches. And then the girder's launcher is moved cantilevered. In this case, 40 meter resting only, 40 meter exposed, resting only in one point with 40 meters cantilever. The characteristic of this launcher is that it's a traveler, can pick it up even kilometers away, bring it to destination, go back, carry within, and so continuously, and build a bridge. This is a small reservoir. It could have been the delta of a river, 1 kilometer wide, wouldn't have made any difference. To have something that can carry girders in places where there is no access by any other way. These columns that you see there are sitting on a beam. Since they are so tall, they are very elastic. In case of earthquake, the impact, let's say, of the earthquake will be taken by the abutment. So it is all designed in such a way that even maximum expected earthquake will not damage the substructure. And that's all of it.
Like the Alabang Viaduct, the San Juan Viaduct now has a completely new 6-lane bridge deck and no traffic congestion. And motorists exiting SLEX just a few meters ahead will soon be driving down the new SLEX extension. This was the missing Expressway link, an 8-kilometer, 4-lane tollway being built by MTD in the valley between two volcano ranges and two mountain lakes.
Actually, this is the most beautiful part of SLEX. On my left is the mountain, and on my right is the lake. The mountain and the lake gives a challenging weather pattern for construction, which gives a almost daily rain. Construction-wise, it's very difficult to work on, especially for this kind of soil material, which is clay. We have about 40,000 dump trucks of clay that we will be taking out from this area and replace it with the more suitable materials that will last for more than 30 years.
But in areas where soil replacement is not necessary, the carriageway and the other tollway facilities are nearing completion. Of the 6 bridges, 3 overpasses, and 1 flyover, only 1 bridge and the flyover are still under construction. When completed, this flyover will link SLEX with Star Tollway at this junction. This will finally provide the seamless connection that will ultimately reduce the time and cost of transporting goods and people from the international seaport to the national capital. To help ensure safe passage through SLEX, MTD built South Luzon Tollway's Operations Control Center in Silangan. Located just some 4 kilometers from the foot of Mount Makiling, the Operations Control Center is a complete office and service facility.
The Operation Control Center will be equipped with a full-fledged traffic control and surveillance system, while an informational tool for the expressway users. With 33 units of PTZ CCTV cameras located at 1 kilometer intervals along the expressway, any vehicle on the expressway could be monitored and allow faster detection of incidents and events on the expressway. Furthermore, the CCTVs are also placed on the toll plaza areas to monitor entry and exit traffic along these locations. In the Operation Control Center, it has multiple displays which consists of 8 units of 50-inch and 18 units of 21-inch LCD displays to provide constant view of the expressway 24/7. In conclusion, this provides assurance to the motorists that safety and comfort remains the most important matter throughout South Luzon at all times.
More than the conveniences offered by new technologies, the assurance of safety is MTD's overriding concern in an expressway bordered so closely by residential communities and business centers that are increasing almost at the speed of the rehabilitation project. While this rapid development helps the Philippine government to decongest its now overcrowded capital, it poses one more challenge to MTD. In 2 to 3 years, the evidently rapid urbanization will make new demands on Philippine infrastructure that may even be more challenging than the SLEX project. The SLEX rehabilitation and upgrading project is totally funded by MTD and proves its capacity to implement even under difficult physical conditions and the intricacies of government regulations. This is MTD's abiding principle: to stand by all of its commitments to its host country and people for a mutually beneficial result.